Hey guys, this is Stephanie and I am Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. Today I am participating in the 7 Days of 7 by Book Roast. I will be sure to link her channel down below. She is wonderful. If you don't follow her, you should follow her. She is hilarious and genuine, and I don't know, everything she does for some reason I find insanely interesting. So just follow her and then you'll know what I'm talking about. A few months ago, she did something called the 7 Days of 7, where she had a video she posted 7 days in a row, a different video with the top 7 of 7 different topics. So she's doing it again, and she released the topics a while ago so that we could all get our videos made and we can participate. The first day is going to be December 4th and the last day is going to be December 11th. Now, if you're just now seeing this video and you're like, oh, I missed it. You didn't miss it. Go ahead and make your videos, post them on the same day. You will have a ton of fun. I love the categories she picked this year too. So I spent weeks literally thinking over everything and making lists and changing lists and second guessing myself. I should just go with my gut, but I am planning on participating the whole week. You'll be getting a video every day of the week for 7 days. Lucky you! Woohoo! So getting started, day number 1, the topic is books that should be movies. Now I actually did a video of this, I don't know, a few months ago. I will find it and I'll link that below too if you want to see that. I did, I think 5 movies I think should be turned into TV shows or miniseries, and then 10 that should be movies. So I think that all 7 of these are from that, but I tried to not look back at that and just come up with 7 that I thought would be really good movies. And I'm also not going to be ranking any of my 7 of 7 videos in order of like 1 is the best and 7 is the worst, because these are just my top 7. I don't think that on most of these I can actually pick a number 1 or a number 7. If I can, I will, but for this particular one, I just think all 7 of these should be movies. Boom, that's it. Okay. So the first one I'm going to talk about is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Basically, this is a book that kind of takes the idea of top magic versus natural ability. So somebody who is actually like an illusionist can make you see things, or somebody who's actually magic. So these 2 magicians pit their 2 people against each other, and you see them and they're like 7 at the beginning of the book or so, and then they grow up through the years and then they sick them at each other and they're like, okay, who's gonna win? Like, and you think about the premise, it's kind of twisted and weird, but it is interesting. The plot is pretty slow moving, so I do think if it became a movie they would be able to speed that up again and take out some of the slower bits and maybe add some plot, because the plot's also a little weak. The thing I think would be beautiful about this book is the world. There's a point where they have a few tents in this circus, and the tents are just beautiful and amazing and magical, and I would love to see that on the screen personally. I feel like the flaws and the problems I have with this book could easily be fixed by making it a movie, because they're gonna change things, but I think they would change things for the better. The next one I want to talk about is Ruby Red by Kirsten Gier. This is a trilogy, but I think they could actually make it into 2 movies instead of 3, because the middle book definitely suffered from middle book syndrome and was kind of just there. And then there were some problems with the ending of this series as well. Anybody who's read the last book is probably going to be like, why did they do that? Why? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't go with the flow of the book. Why would this happen? So again, something you can fix in the movie, but I think it'd probably be very good 2 movies. In this, we're following Gwen, and Gwen lives in a family of time travelers. Now, not everybody in their family is a time traveler, but one female will be, and it's her cousin. So her cousin, her whole life has been prepped to be this time traveling person, and what happens? Gwen turns out to be the time traveler and not the cousin. So she's kind of thrust into it because she hasn't been trained and she hasn't anything like that. So she is very much not prepared for it, which is part of what makes it humorous. Then there's also like the modern aspect of it. So like when she does time travel, sometimes she'll take her phone back and like take some pictures. And I just love that. I think it's hilarious. Now this book is translated from German to English. I think they did a pretty good job of the translation, and I would like to see a movie of this. I believe there is, to be fair, a movie in German, but I do not speak German, and I would like to see it done in English. I know, but still, I would love to see this done in English. I would love to see 2 movies for the 3 books done in English, done well, and I would just love this. I would want them to keep the characters British though. I would not want them to be American because that would just ruin everything. The next book I have to be a movie would be The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Now, this is one, I actually just like finished this a week ago, and it's one of those books that I just keep thinking about, and thinking about, and thinking about, and I really liked it. I think this would be an amazing movie. I'm actually a little surprised they haven't made it into a movie already because I think it'd be a very, very easy transition into a movie. I think they could even keep most of it intact as it is, do a couple good, you know, montages, time-lapse things, and I think it would be fantastic. It would be a little heavy. I'm not sure how they would get around making it a rated R movie, and I think they'd probably want to make it PG-13, saying at the very beginning, our main character is like 18 or so, 17, 18. Well, one of our main characters. We're following two sisters in this, and it's during World War II in France. And so one sister wants to like fight for the resistance, and the other sister wants to just not make any waves and take care of her daughter and just wait for her husband to come home. So two sisters in a war going two separate ways. And the younger sister is the 17, 18-year-old. And I am afraid they would want to make this movie PG-13. And I feel like if they did that, they would be taking away from the impact of how horrible World War II was, and they would gloss over that. And I wouldn't like that because part of what made this book powerful is how horrible and real those terrible, terrible things were. So it is a great book. It is a 5-star read. So read it, and then we will all lobby to get it made into a movie. The next one I'm going to talk about is Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. Now, I think this would be a great movie because I found the first book insanely slow, and I did not enjoy that at all. I thought it was just like so much background politics and building of characters, which normally I like, but nothing happened. I feel like nothing happened until the last, like the last quarter of the book, and then it's like action, 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 and we're done. And I was like, okay, now I want to know what's going to happen next, but I resent taking up 8 hours of my life to read that 3/4 of the book. But then I read the second book, and it's pretty good. So I can't complain too much because the second book really did make up for the fact that I didn't really like the first book. And I do think there's going to be 1, maybe 2 more books in the series, so this would have to be multiple movies. But I think that if it was a movie, they could really trim up that slow bit and make it a really great movie, quite honestly. And I would bleed like halfway, I think, into the second book, just to kind of fill in some of the slow and make more things happen without having to add things. But it is a very interesting premise. Basically, in this book, we have 3 sisters that are all, well, princesses, and eventually one of them will be queen. They're raised on this little island, and when they get to a certain age, I want to say 17, I don't remember anymore, they fight to the death. So who doesn't like that? So it is a pretty good book. Like I said, there's a lot of character development, so you learn about each sister quite a bit in the first book. A lot of jumping around from character to character, and they'll have weird names. However, like I said, second book pays off. I think it would be an excellent, excellent, excellent movie. Or 3. The next book I'm going to talk about is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. You guys are probably sick of me talking about this book, but I did love this book. It was a great book, and I didn't know what it was about, and then I liked it, and I think that makes it a better book when you don't know what it's about, and then you're like, I love this book. I think it's better that way. I think this would be a great movie. Again, it is a slower paced book. I think a lot of slower paced books would make great movies because you can speed up the pacing without losing things in a movie. Whereas in a book, sometimes you speed it up and you really do lose things. Basically, in this book, we are following around a band of musicians / actors who travel around from like town to town, trying to bring entertainment to the world. This is a dystopian world. The virus has come and it has knocked out like, 90% of the entire world. So now all they have are these little encampments, little towns and stuff like that. So it is a wonderful book. That's all I'm going to tell you. You're probably like, that doesn't sound interesting at all. Well, it is. This is a multi-perspective book. It's told from 5 or 6 different perspectives, and it's kind of told from before, like, the sickness spreads and then after, and it is really, really interesting the way it weaves all the characters into each other's lives and how they come across each other, and it is a very enjoyable book. There is a wonderful, wonderful payoff in this book. I think this would be an excellent, excellent movie. I think they'd have to cast it really well. The other thing is it takes place in Canada mostly, and I wonder if they made it into a movie, they'd make it take place in America because, they like to do that. Nonetheless, I would go see this movie. And the next one I'm going to talk about is Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. I really enjoyed this book. I think I was in a weird mood when I read it, but I really did enjoy it. Basically, this book is like the TV show Lost meets like Miss USA pageant. So an airplane full of pageant beauty queen, like teenagers, they're like 16, 17, 18, I think, crashes on an island. And about half of them die, or probably over half, and a bunch of them don't. So they have to basically, they get on the island and they have to survive on this island and, you know, not die. And they're beauty queens. They're not survivalists. So it is pretty funny, but at the same time, it's a little dark because there is quite a bit of death, but it's really interesting too. And I did enjoy it. And then they have these funny commercials in there, like these just pages of commercials that are like, try our face cream now. It'll make you la la la. And like, it's very oddly placed as if this was a reality TV show versus, you know, a bunch of girls on an island dying. And then they also have like bios for the girls throughout the book. So they'll have like Miss Nebraska. She enjoys long walks on the beach, which we don't have in Nebraska, and milking cows and blah, 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 blah. Things like that. So it is cute and it is funny, but it also has this like definite dark tone to it. I think it would be a really good movie. I think that they could totally capture all of the personalities of the girls. Now, given they would have to cast like all supermodels, but you know, that shouldn't be too hard. Hollywood only, you know, hires on looks, right? So we should be good. We should be good. It would be good. And the last one I have today is the Infernal Devices series. Could be a 3 or 4 movie deal. Now I am holding up the second book in the series because it has Jem on it and he's my favorite. Infernal Devices is by Cassandra Clare and it is a 3-book series that is kind of in the Mortal Instruments world. It's just more around the turn of the 19th century versus present day. And we follow our 3 main characters who are Jem, Tessa, and Will. And they're all 17-ish years old, and I just can't say much without giving things away, but it is an enjoyable book, and those of you who have read the series, you probably love it, and you probably cried, and you're probably Team Will, but you're probably wrong, because Jem is better. I would love to see this in movies. If this came out as a movie, I would definitely see it. I do think they could seriously miscast this if they're not careful. They could go with who's popular, who's good looking, and I do think you're going to need some actors who can actually act to do this. But I think it could be pretty amazing. I would probably go see it even if it sucked, honestly. So that is it. Those are the 7 books that I think should become a movie. Again, I talked about more of these. I will link them down below. Normally I will post videos on Tuesdays and Fridays, so you can find me here then. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, whatever it is you want to do. But I will be back tomorrow with a new topic. I will see you then. Goodbye. Today I am participating and doing that too. The next book I have to be a movie would be Kristin Kashore's. That's not Kristin Kashore. I can't talk. Ugh.